What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Seven Figure Flipping Podcast. This is Bill Allen. On today's show, I've got a good friend of mine and a longtime 7FF member. He's been in Seven Figure Flipping for probably 8 years now. We were at the first ever mastermind meeting together in Dana Point, California. And he is an amazing investor, transitioned into doing lead generation, data, skip tracing, and now getting into AI, cold calling, all kinds of really cool stuff that we talk about. But we give you massive strategy and tactics and tips on pulling a list, what to do with that list, and what it could mean for your business. If you're running a big business, if you listen to this, I bet that you make hundreds of thousands more dollars. And if you're brand new, I bet you can find a strategy in here where you can get your first deal and potentially be in front of sellers that nobody else is talking to. So you don't want to miss this episode. And I am going to be back in just a few seconds with my good friend, Rob Badhorn.
My name is Bill Allen, and I'm the leader of a group of elite house flippers and wholesalers called Seven Figure Flipping. We don't brag or show off our success, but instead let integrity and stewardship be our guide. We are dedicated to helping people unlock the freedom they desperately need. If you ask other real estate investors, they will say to keep your secrets quiet. But we believe in abundance, not scarcity, and that's why we are the elite. We are Seven Figure Flipping, and this podcast is our playbook.
What's up, everybody? I am really excited about today's show. We're actually going to talk to you about marketing, getting deals, getting leads, some of the tactics that are actually working out there right now. And I've got a good friend of mine. In fact, it's somebody who I've known since the beginning of Seven Figure Flipping. We were actually at the very first meeting at Seven Figure Flipping, and he's still a member. It's insane. So there's like a handful of people that are just still a member from the very first group that we had, and it's really special to me. So I'm really excited to talk to him today and to share his knowledge with you. He made a transition. We'll talk about it in the beginning, but he made a transition from buying rentals, wholesaling, flipping, doing all the stuff that you're doing into software development and really helping his business and then helping other people. So I'm excited to talk about this. I've got Rob Badhorn on the show today. What's up, Rob?
Hi, Bill. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. I'm excited about this conversation because it's not like anytime me and you get to nerd out on like data and numbers and stuff like that, everybody gets to benefit, I think. And it just kind of is a fun conversation for me. So can you just start everybody off with maybe like your history, your background, and kind of how you got going and then where you are now?
Sure. And as you mentioned, we started off together in kind of seven figure flipping. Back then it was house flipping formula, I believe. And so that was a fun time. Basically during that time, what I was trying to do was figure out how do I get cheap leads? And, I was wholesaling, I was flipping, I flipped over a couple hundred houses, built up a rental portfolio. And this was back in 2016, 2017. And during that time, everybody was, what's the next thing? How do we get marketing leads into us? And really what I found out was cold calling, right? Going out, cold calling people, getting those leads in, and what technologies did you need for that at the time? And at that time, there wasn't a lot of skip trace companies out there. And that's basically how LeadFuzion came about.
What was your background before real estate? What were you doing before then?
Corporate sales, high tech sales. So semiconductor chips. So I was selling everything that goes into the cameras, the cell phones, you name it. My base account was Apple, basically. Oh,
cool. And did you retire from that? Like what happened?
I did. So we retired from that, moved all the money that I made in my 401 at the time, moved that in all of my stock that I had done, moved it into rental properties. So I bought a whole bunch of rental properties. And then from there, that gave me enough base income to continue in wholesale and flip.
Nice. Yeah. Do you still have those rental houses in Ohio that you were buying then?
I do. Yeah.
How are they doing for you?
They're doing great. They're almost all paid off. So
how many do you have?
23.
Nice. That was cool. So I remember when we jumped in there, I don't know how new you were. Were you pretty new to real estate, or had you done some deals before?
We had a few rentals. That was basically it. We didn't have a ton.
It's pretty funny to see the evolution of the people that were in there then and where we were. If we look back, I still have the recording from that original meeting that has no video. It's just audio. So it's right here on my desktop. I listen to it sometimes to keep me humble and ground me. I was an idiot. I had no idea what I was doing. I had done one deal. I thought I had done a lot, but I when I got in that room, I realized not even close. Like I was the person who'd done the least. So it's really cool to see kind of the progression and evolution of all the people that were in that room and how special it is. And if you look back, you can see how far you've come. So now you got into that, and then you went into, what did you do next? So you said, okay, I'm going to develop some software. Like, is this your background? Is this something that you have done before? What was that like?
So when I was in the corporate world, we didn't have any sales reports or anything. So what I basically did was I built sales reports in a back-end database engine for all of, the company. This is like a $20 billion company, and they don't have these, very unique sales reports. So the sales reports allowed us to see, what was happening at an individual account, but gave us a little bit of future of what was going on. So I took all of that knowledge and basically applied it to LeadFuzion. Right? With big databases, we track 120 million people. 120 million properties every day. We have about 150 million people in our database. And then we have a whole bunch of event data like probates, pre-probates, for sale by owners, zombie houses, pre-foreclosure. So all of that data we bring in on a daily basis. It's over, we can't even speculate. It's probably about 1,000 to 5,000 records per minute. So big data is what we deal with. So I took all that knowledge that I did before and kind of applied it to real estate.
Okay, so what does that mean to the person that's listening? Like how does a company like that? So you started this company, you wanted to help get yourself some data, start skip tracing and stuff like that, and then you started helping other people. I think you started like inside of our group, and then you went outside of the group. What was the evolution like? And then how can you help somebody? Like, let's talk about what this means for the investor that's listening, or the person who hasn't gotten started to really understand it. Because I asked that question because I remember when I got started and it was like pull a list. And I would hear that. I'd read it on Bigger Pockets. I'd hear it on podcasts. I'd be like, I don't even know how to do that. Like, that sounds overwhelming to me. So I just wouldn't do it. Or what I did was I paid another guy to pull the list and write the cards and do all this other stuff for me. He had a service, like a turnkey service. And then it would be like, okay, well, you just answer the phone. So I'll do all of that stuff. And like, but that's the business. Like, that stuff is the business. Pulling the right, I can almost track back. I can track anybody's wholesaling and flipping business that direct markets to seller back to the strategy and the tactics that they use to pull the list. Like, it's the most important thing. So on this podcast, I'd like to make sure that we teach them how to do it, what to think about, what they're looking for, and then like how you can help them with your company. If that works?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the, like you said, one of the most important things is the list itself, right? Is that data, that information that you want to bring into your company. Because if you have bad data, you're going to have bad results. Very simple, right? It's bad data in, bad data out. So it's really important to have a good list. I think the way that LeadFuzion really helps people is that we try to make it as easy as possible. Whether you're skip tracing, a list that you already have, or if you want to purchase a list from us, you literally go in, set your geography, and then click. We have popular lists that basically are the most popular lists that will give you hopefully the best results, right? And so you can literally set your geography, click on popular lists, and then check out, and you'll have the leads that or the records that you have, in that list to do whatever you're going to do with, whether you're going to do cold calling, mailing, texting, whatever you're going to be doing with that list, right? You can kind of take it to the next level.
So if you're listening to this and you've never pulled a list before, basically what we're talking about is just going direct to seller. And the whole goal is to find a motivated seller. Most people think that they need to find a distressed house, but I would argue that a distressed house is an outcome from a motivated seller. Like, they could be motivated. They might not be motivated to sell. Like, just because the house is distressed doesn't mean the person's motivated to sell. So if you can find a distressed seller, they're always going to be motivated to sell. They got some distress. They really want to sell their house, or they don't even realize that their house is a tool that they could use to get out of this distress. And that's the person that I want to find. So I'm looking for a list that has potential motivated sellers on it. And so a lot of these like overlays and things that Rob's talking about, a popular list, pre-foreclosures, these kind of things, these are potential like data points that could be a causality of motivation, like a reason why they're motivated. So the fact that you're delinquent on your tax doesn't make you motivated, but it could. And so if you're 3 years delinquent on your tax, that tells me a lot more than if you just forgot to pay the bill last week and you you just popped on a tax delinquent list. So if you can start thinking about strategy, then you can start thinking about how to really think about pulling a list as a weapon that you have in your toolbox. So Rob, maybe you can talk about that. What are some things that you see like successful investors do with information and data that unsuccessful investors don't, maybe?
Well, I think there's probably a couple parts to that, but the first thing is to always have your list refreshed. In other words, you're constantly, having you putting in a tool that basically will make sure that it's updated. So the worst thing you can do is have a list, send out 10,000 mailers a week or 5,000 mailers a week, and then you're sending it to people that have already sold their house, most recently. So scrubbing your list, right? So one of the tools we offer is a lead scrubber. You can upload your list. It'll tell you which has previously sold or recently sold, how much it sold for, and so forth. So you can take those out of your list. So the number one strategy is don't waste money, right? Don't waste money in, marketing to people that are should be off your list anyways. So list health, if we want to call that, is probably one of the best things from a strategy perspective you can do. And
that's a great point. And honestly, I would say that's probably something that I never did. Like I was probably very weak in that area. I'd pull a new list. Like I'd just buy new data and then I would like overlay it, but I'd never look at what house is sold and just remove them. I was very much bulk, like just and I agree. I could be a lot more efficient. Does that tool also add new names to the list?
So we are coming out with a CRM and an active list management system that will do exactly that. So you'll basically set your criteria for a geography, set it for, if you want certain leads in there, certain motivation, and it'll monitor that geography to say, oh, there's a new for sale by owner. I'm going to send out a postcard, immediately. So that we do have those tools coming up.
Nice. So what it sounds like is I have a list. I can upload it on a regular basis and just scrub it for anything that's happened. So, and it's a sold property would be one that you would remove.
Is it active on the MLS? That's the other thing the lead scrubber does is it says, hey, is it active, right? You may not want to market to an active property, or that might be a great opportunity depending on, you can contact a real estate agent and say, is this kind of a distressed house? Is there any motivation there? Do they want a cash offer, right?
Yeah. And I don't have to send a letter. I already have the contact information for the person that's representing them. You could build a whole nother strategy around the people that pop as active listings. And then you can look and see how long they've been on the market, like you could look at the photos, all that stuff's available. And you can run your numbers and just make a cash offer on all of those. And they have equity, or the overlay that came with it. That was, a potential marker for distress, which is probably why it's listed, right? Okay. How does that, can we talk about pricing? Because I'm interested.
Sure.
Like, does that cost money, like the list scrubber tool? And if so, how much? What does that look like?
It does. Because we're in the 7FF, I think it's $0.015 to do a list scrub. So if you have 10,000, it's less. It's like about $100, I think, to do.
Let's talk about like people who are not in the community, and then if you're listening, obviously we have benefits for being inside the program. So if you're a 7FF member, Rob and a bunch of other vendors do discounts for the members, and my whole goal is how can I figure out how to make your membership free? So if you're in our Runway or Altitude program, how do I figure out how to negotiate the best deals with vendors, bring the right people in, and make your membership free? So everything else is gravy. So I hope that if you're listening to this and you're in our community, you're taking advantage of all these benefits and discounts, like our 100% financing, working with Rob at LeadFuzion, mailing companies to get your mailers down, all that stuff. So let's talk about price though, because the majority of people who listen to this are probably not in our mastermind, although you should be. You can go to 7figurerunway.com or 7figurealtitude.com and fill out an application. So what's the price? What does that cost for non-members?
Yeah, so the non-member is 2 cents per list, or 2 cents per record, to find out what's going on with it. And that's a one-time deal. We will have, like I said, in the CRM and the active management system, the same ability to do that. And I believe we're going to price it around $20 a month, right, for 10,000.
That's smart.
So really, really easy, and it'll make it active for you. You don't literally have to do anything to be able to.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So it's like automatic. It'll be just running in the background automatic.
Exactly.
Here's the other cool thing that I think a lot of people miss on this concept and strategy is like, So we're pulling lists. It's going to cost you like 18 cents with ListSource. ListSource is another great opportunity, but and I realize you're doing the same thing, so I don't want to push them on a conversation with you guys. But let's say it's 3 cents. 3 cents to pull a list of names for us. Like it costs us 3 cents. And so now, so I would just go buy another list in the past. But now what I can do is that for 2 cents, let's say for 2 cents for 10,000 names, so I'm paying $200. I can go through and actually now I see what's happening. So it's going to show me two things. It's going to show me properties that I marketed to that have been sold while I was marketing to them. Mm-hmm. So I could put those names, like those. Do I get the ones that you've removed?
Yes. Yeah, you get the full list, so you can sort it however you want. Yeah.
So here's like some tactics and tips for you as we go through this that are just coming to mind if I had this opportunity to work with Rob. I would take those ones that were sold and I put them on a different sheet. And then I would start looking and seeing like I could pay a VA to go through and look at who bought those properties, number one. So I can go in public record and see who bought them. Was it an investor? Was it a competitor of mine? Did they sell retail? Like what happened? And I've been marketing to them. I could look and see if they're in my CRM. And I could say, why did we not get that deal and somebody else did? Mm-hmm. And refine my process. Maybe they called us 4 times. We didn't call them back. It just shows me that our process is messed up. So that's amazing information from a CEO that can dive into data like this to look at that. And you can use VAs for a lot of this stuff for just a couple bucks an hour to go through and manage this stuff. But you're probably the one that needs to put your brain on it to figure out what it means. And then if we see active listings, now I can put those active listings on another sheet. And maybe I have a VA or somebody on my team, an acquisitions rep, or you, if it's just you, go run through and make offers on all those properties. So just run the numbers, look at the photos. You don't even have to call the agent necessarily. You could just make an offer based on your numbers and your analysis and then see what kind of feedback you get from those agents. And then now I have a fresh list of all the people I'm going to market to next. And I could do that like every 2 weeks probably and run a cycle where I'm basically managing like, look at all the deals we lost this month. And that's all the opportunity that you have. And so that as a strategy in your business would work great. And then on top of that, like, can you imagine looking at like when you look at that as a brand new wholesaler or a brand new flipper that's marketing, going, all these houses sold in the last month, like I just need to buy one of these. It just changes your whole mindset around what's possible and what's available to you that's out there, that's happening in the world. So it's giving you real-time feedback of like, I can do this. Like there's a big opportunity here. There's a lot of money to be made. And you can also look at like your offers compared to what they sold for, create a column that says what they sold for, all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. This is where I spend like all of my time is because this is where the money is.
This is where the money is, right? It's how we started, this show is, what strategy do you have to do? What are you going to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to make sure that the engine that you're building is consistent, right? And we talked about what are the biggest failure points of a real estate investor? Not being consistent, plain and simple, right? Not executing and being consistent. So this is part of that strategy you talked about of being consistent.
I mean, just that ability to do that could change your entire business. Like at 2 cents a name on a list, you could create a new opportunity in your company today. You could make a ton more money. You could totally shift the strategy and path of where your acquisitions reps take more time, or, you're looking at quality assurance inside the company, fine tuning your process and procedures, and that'll spit out another deal or two a month. Like it's priceless.
Yeah.
And so I bet everything that we're going to talk about today, you could totally like shift your business around based on like going back to the list, the leads, and looking at who you're talking to and why. It's so important. Yeah. All right. What's another thing that you guys do? And maybe we spend time on like the features, and then we like teach people how to use them. And I think the amount of money that they can make from it. That sounds kind of interesting to me because I don't know. I have so many ideas just from that list scrubber tool that you probably have other features inside the software that people don't realize the power of it. And if we can show them the power of it, it'll be a no-brainer for them to use it and change their business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's another place where people kind of miss out is jumping on a lead quickly, right? And one of the things that we offer, we actually offer two ways to really pull data from us and what we call event data. So you have property information, which is how many beds, baths, who owns it. You have people data, what are their phones or emails, how many relatives do they have, what's their age, all that stuff. And then we have event data. And the event data is, that motivation that we talked about. Something's happening in their life or to the property or with both the person and the property. And so the important thing is to getting that event data as soon as possible so you can act on it. For instance, if it's a pre-foreclosure, you want to act on it as fast as possible because there's a limited amount of time that owner owns that property, right? That you can go and help that owner during that pre-foreclosure. And so we offer 35 different types of event data. And you can get them in a list, meaning a one-time pull. You can go to our website and do it in a one-time pull, or you can get a daily subscription where we actually, let's say if it's a pre-foreclosure, we'll grab that information, we'll send it to you automatically. It's already skip trace, so you have the phone numbers, the emails, the information about that person that owns that property, so you can act on it immediately, whether it's calling them, texting them, sending out a mailer. You can do your direct marketing immediately, and really time to. The most important thing is getting that event data first and getting it out as soon as possible, or doing something with it.
Yeah. So I'll kind of, what Rob is talking about here is, let's say, like he says, something happens. The faster you can get that information to you and do something with it, you'll be the first one on the doorstep.
Exactly.
When they're looking for somebody potentially. And I think there is, I guess the one caveat I'll put to this is you have to be somewhat careful depending on what it is.
Right.
So if it's like the instant that divorce paperwork was filed or the instant that somebody passes away, I think there's some sensitivity there that you just have to consider inside your business, however you run your company. I know for us, it was, I wasn't really comfortable sending like mailers immediately with probates, like right when somebody passed away. But there's definitely a strategy there and how you do it. So if you just send a generic card versus, hey, I saw so-and-so died. Like, are you interested in ready to sell the house? It's just like, hey, it just so happened you were on a list, and it's a generic general card that you get instead of, a 2-page letter like we used to send. So I love this. Is there anybody that's getting it faster than you? Like, there's any way to get this information faster than working with you? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. The answer is no. So we don't buy our leads from another list provider or something like that. We actually go to the courthouses and pull the data directly. So we have, LeadFuzion. We talked about LeadFuzion, how it's kind of evolved over time. We started in data, and now we are into AI. We're into artificial intelligence and machine learning, so that we are literally, have our tools and our software go to these county websites, pull the information out of it, and sending it to you, making sure that they are the property owner, that, how long have they owned it, and then, getting you the other contact information of phone numbers and emails and so forth. So literally that's happening in our software behind the scenes, and it's happening every minute, on our server. So I don't think anyone is faster than us, to be honest. So.
And so like even them going down to the courthouse and pulling it themselves would be slower. So, and then you're sending it, you're getting the information and then it's set up to just email them right. If they have a search set up and an email notification, it just emails to me and says, hey, there's two new records right now on whatever I had set up.
Exactly. So if you have a pre-foreclosure, hey, there's 2 pre-foreclosures that popped up today. Here's the phone numbers, give them a call. Right. Or, mail them. Okay.
I think everybody that's listening to this can see how massively valuable that would be to have stuff like as quick as possible. I don't think I need to like beat that drum any harder. What does that cost to do that whole setup?
So it's by lead type. Every lead is a little bit more difficult. We do have maybe some manual intervention on some of these leads just to make sure the quality of the lead is excellent. So it really depends on each lead type. You can go to our website and figure out, basically grab those costs. Okay. So we have subscription costs that are a minimum $10 a month to get that subscription. That gives you those daily leads. As soon as they come in, they're in your inbox. Or you can go and list pull them, one time, however you want to do it. But we, of course, obviously push it to the subscription because you get them as fast as possible.
Yeah, that subscription is massively valuable. Well, can you give a range, an idea of price for people?
Anywhere from, I would say, 10 cents a lead to, on our high end, our probates are 65 cents a lead. So,
okay. But keep in mind, those are skip traced too, right?
Yes, they're fully skip traced.
Yeah.
In the subscription, they're fully skip traced. So especially in the probate, it's actually 5 or 6 skip traces that actually happen. We skip trace the decedent, we skip trace the petitioner, the attorney information is there, and then we give you relative information as well, fully skip trace, which means you get the phone number, email, their mailing address, and other information.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. If you just compare it to like raw data, you're paying like 25 cents, probably maybe 30 to buy the lead and skip trace it. Mm-hmm. If you're in our program, you might be paying from another provider like 10 cents. So like totally on par with everything else that's out there. And that's not for probate. That's for just like a basic lead, like not even a pre-foreclosure that has a lender on it or anything. Yeah. So that's even more expensive to get like mortgage data and stuff. So that's really, really incredible. And getting it, because then you're only paying for like, if I got 3 leads today, I'm only paying for 3. I'm not paying for like, 5,000. And so as it gets dripped out, I'm just paying per, I have a subscription, which is totally reasonable. And then I'm paying just like, for the couple leads. That
subscription actually includes, usually we'll say, hey, there's an average of 100 leads, in a month. That subscription price includes all those leads. So there could be less some months or there could be more some months, but it's the same price.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll talk after this about how you should raise your prices.
I know. I'm the data nerd, right? I just want to get people, honestly, I think you have the same goals, right? We want to create as many real estate millionaires as possible. And I want to get people the best data possible at a reasonable or inexpensive price so that we can enable people out there to become what honestly we have become. So we definitely want to help people out.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, I think. It's I feel like the companies that have the best product are not always the best at talking about their product. Yeah. They obsess on the fulfillment of their product and the quality of the product. And then we have a lot more trouble like going out and marketing and selling it and talking about it and going around and being on stages and putting out content and doing all that stuff. So it's really challenging. It's a dichotomy that has really been tough for me over the past few years. Is I feel like the product that we produce is where I spend the majority of my time, is on the fulfillment, making sure it's good, adjusting it, tweaking it, like figuring out how to make sure the people inside the program are more successful over time. And we don't do as much like front end marketing, like running ads and promoting and getting yourselves out there. And I've seen the same thing for you for years. Like you have a great product and you're working on it, you're obsessing it, you're building it, you're tweaking it, you want to help everyone, and you just don't promote it enough and like get it out there. And so that's the challenge, folks, is like the reason why we're here talking about this is to educate you on what's possible, and somebody that's there that I know for many, many years will serve you at the right way, like really cares about you and will stand by his product and hopefully promote it a little bit. And so about it. And so, okay, what are a couple other features that you think are like really beneficial? And really what we're doing here is we're actually teaching people how to market by going through some of these, which I think is cool. The speed to lead, and really not even speed to lead. Speed to lead, a lot of people think is like the people that are calling them, but it's like speed to opportunity is what you're talking about here with this tool. It's like there's a potential opportunity. I want to be the first one at the door because the low hanging fruit is going to say yes right away. Like when your toilet is overflowing, the first plumber that answers the phone is getting the business. And that's it. And that's what we're talking about here. So there's a lot of low hanging fruit. And then there's some others that might need nurture and follow up, but you can pick off and like snipe some of these very quickly because nobody else has the information yet. And you're the only one they're talking to. That is a huge opportunity. What's next?
I would agree. Yeah. And we definitely have that built into our leads, especially our, some people call them pre-probate. We call them first up leads. Those are literally leads that, Aunt Mary could have passed away 2 days ago. We've already verified that she has property, how many properties that she owns, and that lead is in your inbox. So be careful with, the information that you have. But there is definitely a speed to lead. Now, the reason why I mentioned those is I think one of the facts that, people kind of miss a little bit these days is branding, right? Branding what they do in their market, making it well known, and just getting those leads out there. You're not necessarily calling, Aunt Mary, but you're sending a postcard to the relatives to say, hey, I'd love to buy, if you have any houses, for cash that you want to buy, etc. That really helps out that family more than you know. I would say another area that, if we want to talk about skip tracing itself, there's some new technologies in skip tracing that LeadFuzion has invented that really open up the door where doors have been closed before, and that is our Skip Plus technology. I previewed it to you, or didn't preview. We launched it about a year ago or 6 months ago in our last mastermind meeting, and you raised your hand like, well, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
And really the premise behind the technology is that you go to another skip trace company, or you get a phone number for someone, or you don't get phone numbers. And the premise is this technology is going to give you a phone number that really no one else has. And we do that because we'll skip trace the second owner. When you buy a list, right? So here's a gold nugget. When you buy a list out there, it doesn't care from who or whoever, usually you're getting owner one information, you're getting a mailing address, you're getting a property information. And when you skip trace it, you're sending that list off to them, and they're going to skip trace owner one and give you those phone numbers back. They don't check for anything. They don't check, number one, is owner one, is that person still an owner of the property, which is a huge problem. We already talked about that in Lead Scrubber. So Skip Plus technology basically has a lead scrubbing tool built into it. It checks for ownership. And then it says, well, wait a minute, if I don't have a phone number for the first person, I'm going to give you a phone number for owner two, which no one else is doing out there now. And so it basically scrubs your list. And what it does is it gives you phone numbers that literally, like I said, no one else has. So the opportunity there is you're going to be contacting people that if they got data from another provider, they're just not contacting them. They don't have the phone number for that property. Does that make sense? Sometimes I don't push that out the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think ultimately it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. It's getting information that other people don't have.
Yeah.
And so if you can get a phone number that nobody else is getting from all the other skip trace providers, that's what we're talking about here, which I thought was like incredible. I was like, wait a second, like this could be somebody's entire business. Like this could be all you do is you just go like the Skip Plus and say, okay, we're going to call these second owners, or we're going to, so if I can explain this in a way that might be a little nerdy, but it's the negative data. Like there's a lot of money in the negative data, the stuff that, so let's use an example here. I do an event called Flip Hacking Live. When I look at Flip Hacking Live, like we do it every October, and we have, I have 1,000 people there, and we have, I don't know, maybe 50 people join our mastermind, right? And of those 1,000 people, let's just say half are spouses and business partners, and let's say, 100 are already members that are there. So out of 400 people, right? So we got rid of 100. So now we're down to 900. And okay, half is 450. So out of 450 people, 50 people join our program. Mm-hmm. And so 400 people don't. Like 400 companies don't. That's what I'm talking about. That's the negative data. Mm-hmm. And so everybody focuses on like who bought, how do I get more people like that into my event next year? Like when you look at a business, that's what it is. You're doing the same thing. You're pulling a giant list that has, let's say 10,000 people on it. You are getting a 1% response rate. 99% of those people you haven't talked to. And so my question would be, did they get my card or not get my card? Mm-hmm. Did they throw it out? Did it even arrive on their porch? Did their spouse get it? Did their nanny get it? Did their house manager get it? Was it sent back? Are they still alive? Are they still in the house? Like all the stuff that we're talking about, like the real gold. And so we spend a lot of time looking at that 1% and trying to make it like 1.1%, or how can we get really good with that 1%, which is smart operationally, but there might be a lot more gold in the 99%. Like, why did those people not open it? Why did they not read it? Is it coming on the wrong day, on the wrong time? Like what about it? Is it the wrong medium? Is it the wrong message? Like what is it? And so when I think about this, it's the same thing. Like, how do I get to that negative data, the stuff that is unavailable elsewhere, nobody else has, and it's really a blue ocean because nobody else is looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I got really excited about it when you talked about it before, was there's a huge opportunity here because it's like silent data. It's like stuff that nobody else has. It's like secret. And that is where you want to live, because instead of fighting in the red ocean, now you're in a blue ocean with, there's not a lot of blood in the water. There's nobody else really talking to them. And if you can be the only one there, then it's so much easier conversation, because they don't even know there's an opportunity for them. So that I think is really valuable. Skip Plus. What does that look like as far as like cost, pricing, stuff like that? Do you have that?
So for regular skip tracing, which is what everybody else does, it's 6 cents, and for Skip Plus, it's an additional 3 cents. But let's say that, you know, there's 2 owners, or you give us a name, Mary Smith, and she's not an owner, 1 or 2. Then we'll give you owner 1 and owner 2. So we're kind of cleaning your list as well, to make sure you have the right person for that property, because there's a lot of free sources out there. There's a lot of list sources out there that are quite honestly old or outdated. So that's the first thing that we do for that extra 3 cents. And then let's say Mary Smith is an owner and you do have a phone number for her, but you, for some reason, that phone number didn't work or you couldn't get a hold of them. Well, the whole purpose of giving you owner 2 information is to get a hold of those people that you have, that you didn't get a hold of. So that's the extra 3 cents. So basically 9 cents in total. What you'd be paying mostly for normal skip trace companies are anywhere from 10 to 15 cents. We're giving you Skip Plus under cost for that.
Incredible.
And one thing, I guess, Bill, you know, going back to your analogy of negative data, a lot of times when you upload a list into a skip trace company, you know, let's say it has an 85% or 90%, you know, append rate. That means 10%.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that means that 10%, or that means 90% of the data, the 90% of the rows. Let's say you have 10,000 rows. That means 9,000 of those rows you got a phone number for, right? What you talk about blue ocean is that other 1,000, the 1,000 that didn't get a phone number for. So if you just took that other 1,000, brought it to LeadFuzion, did Skip Plus, you'd be getting phone numbers for people that literally no one else has.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about at the event. I was like,
yeah,
you could just do that. Like you could skip trace everything, then take the stuff that you don't get anything for and go get
go around to other investors. Hey, give me your list of people you didn't get a hold of, right?
Yeah. Yeah, give me all your junk. Like you just spent a bunch of money. You don't even have to buy the list. You don't even have to do the skip tracing. You just go to a friend and be like, hey, can I have all the names and addresses of the people that you didn't get an append for? No, you have no phone number for, and then take it to you. And then now I have my own list that nobody else has. That's a business right there. Exactly. It's like the people that are like, give me your dead leads. They're doing like, you know, owner finance or doing wraps or things like that. And they're like buying other people's like dead leads where they can use a different tool to make money on the houses and stuff. So, because like when we sell our houses on owner financing in Kentucky, and we could pay more than a house flipper and a wholesaler, right, and a landlord and a flipper. So we just like, hey, if you have these dead leads that you couldn't get a good price for, like we'll take them and then we'll work them. And if we buy one of them, we'll send you something. You know, we'll pay you. So it is really incredible. Okay, so the next thing I just want to transition. So there's a lot of really cool tools. Maybe you could talk quickly about what's coming up next. You talk about a CRM and some other things like that, and then I'll just kind of wrap it up. So if you can talk about like what's next for the company and some things that you're excited about, maybe, or something new that's been rolled out, things like that.
Yeah, no, what's next for the company, I think by the time this podcast drops, we'll have a lot of new tools out there for our customers. We've been in development with a CRM, very simple CRM. You know, I kind of compare it to Apple, where it just does stuff for you, right? You know, if you want to move from an Excel spreadsheet into a simple CRM, this is the right tool for you. So if you're just starting out, very simple to use CRM. So that's definitely coming out. The other thing that we have that we're working on, as I mentioned, you know, we're big into AI. So right now you can go to our website. We try to make things, again, as easy as possible. I call it the Apple way. You can literally take your list, drop it on our website, hit purchase, and we'll skip trace that list for you. You literally have to do nothing else. You don't have to have a template. You don't have to do anything. We have AI in the back end system basically checking out your list, seeing who the owners are, the property address, whatever, and then skip tracing it for you. So it has learned thousands of different list types already, and is again making it easy as possible for you.
So you're saying the benefit of that is that they don't have to like format it exactly right, things like this. Just drop your spreadsheet in there or CSV file, and it'll find the addresses, it'll find the owners, it'll find that stuff. It doesn't have to be all perfect and then it gets kicked back, or you have to email somebody or talk to somebody on the phone. You can just go to the website, drop an Excel list on there, skip trace, purchase, and then how quickly do they have it afterwards?
We process about 2,000 records an hour. So because we're looking at multiple sources when we do skip tracing specifically, we're always comparing. We're using data analytics, again, AI, to make sure you're getting the best possible phone number. Because we did a lot of analysis on different providers, different sources, even cell phone, premium sources that we have is sometimes wrong, right? So we actually compare it to other sources that we have and make sure you're getting the best number. We rank our phone numbers as well. So hopefully that makes sense. Getting back to the AI,
you're saying about 2,000 records an hour?
Yeah, about 2,000 records.
So if I put 10,000 records in there, I should expect it in like 5 or 6 hours in my email.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like days or weeks.
What's that?
Not like days or weeks.
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not. No, the same.
But it's also not. But it's also not instantaneous. So let's set your expectations right.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's not instantaneous because we are comparing it literally to 10 different sources, and we want to make sure you're getting the best phone number. Again, it goes back to that nerdy quality that I have. That I want to give the best data possible, and I don't want to have you spend your hard dollars on working on money that is going to go out the trash, right?
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I really am excited about hearing you talk to the Altitude group. I think you're coming next week to talk to them, and then that's going to be really exciting. I know you're going to blow a bunch of people's minds. So I'm glad we got to record this ahead of time. It gives me some ideas of making sure like what we talk about there that they I'm excited for them to understand the value of this and also the discount that they get, and then. For everybody that's listening to this, the opportunity to work with you to get some great data, because it all starts there. It really does. It's not just because I'm an engineer, guys. This is the reason why I was successful. The majority of my business ran on looking at what was happening and refining and adjusting things, just tweaking, constantly pivoting and tweaking, especially as the market changes, as the talk track changes with the sellers. I remember finding the unknown equity list.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like for us at Seven Figure Flipping, it was like a gold mine for all of us in the group for a year or two before it became like really well known.
Uh-huh.
And we were cleaning up on that. And then I went to owner occupied over 55. So I put an age filter on it of owner occupied, and nobody was marketing to owner occupied people, just absentee owners. So I went there, and so I've constantly been trying to figure out like which hole should I fish in that nobody else is fishing in right now? Where can I get data that because I was realizing that I had this like total blue ocean. Like nobody was calling these people had never gotten mailers before. It was obvious. When your response rate goes up like 10x, you're like, whoa, something happened here. Like what's going on? I don't know if I'm going to tell anybody about this for a little bit. And that's what was kind of cool about seeing this. And so Rob's now on the front lines creating some of these, and let him think for you. So you can just go to them. If somebody does want to work with you, like what's the best way? Where should they go? What do they do?
So LeadFuzionList.com or LeadFuzion.com, either way. And of course, if you want to get a hold of me personally, we have a chat, customer service there that's almost 24 hours. I think there's 4 hours we're not working in the chat. Just say, hey, I'd love to talk to Rob. They can give you the link to set up a calendar with me, and I'd be happy to talk to, go over the data and what's really best for you and your market. I'd be happy to do that. There's one other thing I'd like to talk about, if you don't mind. We are coming out with AI cold calling. So for the first time now that, as LeadFuzion, we have the data, we have the event data, we have a CRM, and now we're going to bolt on AI cold calling to that. So you're going to literally be able to do hands-off lead generation. Now, if you're not familiar with AI cold calling, it's literally having AI is going to call the owners of the properties, have a conversation with them. We're gearing it right now to set up an appointment so that you can go do the appointment. But the AI cold caller will ask all the questions. How many beds? When's the last time you upgraded the kitchen? When's the last time you upgraded the bathrooms? AI cold calling, that is really the next thing that is happening. And we're just right at the beginning of that. So announcing today, that we are getting into that. And hopefully within, I would say, early February of 2024, that'll be available to our basically anybody that's using our data. Those are going to be the first people that get access to that.
You better get in line. I gave a presentation on this like a year ago, and I was listening to calls, and it really is incredible. Mm-hmm. Like there's history of companies even right now taking all reservations, actually having a conversation. It's like you talking to another human being to get a reservation. Customer service calls for large companies, all this stuff. The functionality is insane. And the other piece is like translations. So you want to talk in Spanish? No problem. Boom. Like they'll have a conversation in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And, French, German, it does not matter. It's really amazing. So that technology is there. I'm glad that you're doing that, Rob, because I was just like waiting for somebody to test one of these features out, some of this functionality, to have basically a call center that's using AI for the calling. So
exactly,
incredible tool. I'm excited for that, and I know that our members will be lining up for it this week. So if they're interested, how can they sign up? Where should they go?
Yeah, we'll put a link in wherever this is going out, if that's okay, in the description, and we'll have the people sign up there. Absolutely.
For sure. And what's the name of the company? If the LeadFuzion, can you spell it? Can you make sure they go to the right LeadFuzion?
LeadFuzion.com. That'll get you to the right place.
Cool. LeadFuzion, LeadFuzion. So LeadFuzion, Rob Badhorn. Rob, thank you so much for being with us. I'm excited. If they want to follow you, do you guys put out any content or training or any of that kind of stuff? Where should they go for that?
We will start to do that. We have some already on our YouTube channel, and just type in LeadFuzion on YouTube, and that'll get you right there. Again, with a Z.
Cool. Awesome. We'll link some of that stuff in the show notes. We'll give you guys a link to go sign up with them. Go check it out. And then if you're interested in joining our mastermind and coming in and getting a massive discount with LeadFuzion, you can. You can go to 7figurerunway.com, the number 7figurerunway.com. We have an event coming up next week I'm really excited about. We got our altitude event on Wednesday, Thursday, and our runway on Friday, Saturday. And Rob, I have a little surprise for you guys. One of the nights I'm really excited about, but I'm not telling anybody what it is. So I hope you guys have a great day. Rob, thanks for being here, and we'll see you on the next show.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Join 7 Figure.
That's right. All right. We'll see you on the next show.